Our last section of our trig unit is going to talk about a couple of things called the law of sines and the law of cosines. Not every triangle we meet is going to be a right triangle. So our SOHCAHTOA and our special right triangles and our Pythagorean theorem don't always work. But the law of cosines and the law of sines works for all triangles. So depending on what information you have, which of these two formulas you're going to use. So the law of sines basically says a side and the sine of its angle opposite are in the same proportion as any other side and its angle opposite. So we basically are going to do across the way. And we will pair everything up with the angle and its side opposite. So if you know 3 of the 4 items, you know 3 of 4 parts, you can solve for the 4th part. So let's look at an example. Solve the triangle below. Now, solve in trig means find everything. So you find every unknown value that you have. Now, the first one that's easy to find is your triangle sum. So angle K is equal to 180 minus 70 minus 38, which is 72. Now, if I can avoid it, I don't want to use 72 as the calculated value, just in case I made a mistake. So the 2 that I know are H and 6. So I'm going to start with the sine of 38 over 6. That will be at the same relationship as the sine of 70 is with its side. Now I can put the signs on top or the signs on bottom. I just have to be consistent. Now I'm going to cross multiply. And I'm going to be very careful when I cross multiply these numbers with sine. Now the sine of 70 is some decimal point less than 1. Sine of 38 is some decimal less than 1. So I want to be sure that I put that number out front. The sine of 70 is equal to j sine of 38. This sine of 38 is a number, so I can divide by it. And I do this all with my words first because the sine of 70 and the sine of 38 are big, long decimals, and I want to wait till the very end to calculate them. So I'm going to go to my calculator and I'm going to say 6 times the sine of 70, and I'm going to divide by the sine of 38, and I will find that j is 9.16. Now, 72 is my other angle that's going to be opposite of K. I know that this side K should be bigger than 9.16 because of that side angle relationship that we talked about all the way back in Geometry A. So now I'm going to start over and I'm going to say that the sine of 38 over 6, that's my starting one, is equal to the sine of 72 over K. So now I'm going to use this value and K and these two that were given to me. I'm going to cross multiply again, and I will have K sine of 38 is equal to 6 sine of 72. Divide both sides by the sine of 38, 6 sine 72 over the sine of 38, and K is 9.27. If you are not getting these values when you use your calculators, check that your calculator is in degrees, and then check your order of operations. And if you're still having trouble, see your teacher. But these two need to be multiplied first. 6 times 72, I recommend hitting enter, then divide by 38. So let's find S and T in this set of directions. Here's my pairing that I know, and from this I can solve for S because I'm only missing angle S. So I say the sine of S over 5.26 is equal to the sine of 53 over 5. Cross multiply, 5 sine of S is equal to 5.26 sine of 53. Divide by 5, and I end up with the sine of S is equal to 0.84 decimal, decimal, decimal. Use that inverse feature because I want the actual measure of S, and S is going to end up being 57.2 degrees. Now once you have that, you can subtract to find T. Angle T is 180 minus 57.2 minus 53. So T is 69.8 degrees. And then once you know T, then you can solve for little t. Start with the ratio you were given, that's sine of 53 over 5 is the same ratio as the sine of 69.8 over little t. So I'm going to use this value and its side, and this blue value it was given, and that side. Now I could use 57 and 5.26, but if I made a mistake in 57, obviously all my calculations are wrong, but whenever possible, always use given information. Cross multiply, I have 5 sine 69.8 equal to T sine of 53, divide by the sine of 53, and T ends up being 5.9. So get your pairings, set up opposite each other, and cross multiply. Try the check problems and tune in for part 2.